right, let's get started. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to everyone, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to our webinar. Just a few words of housekeeping before we start today. Just so you know, you're all on mute during the webinar. So if you do have any questions, please make sure to use the chat function. Let us know if you have any problems hearing us or seeing us. Whatever questions you might have, go ahead and put it in there, and either Dennis or I will respond. We'll do our best to get all of this going. So thank you so much for coming. We're really happy to see you today. We're going to get started. A couple of words of introduction. I'm Joshua Brzee, or Josh, a member of the marketing team here at RayNet. I've been here for over a year now, and I'm excited to present our webinar today along with my colleague, Dennis. Dennis, why don't you say a quick couple of words about yourself?
So my name is Dennis Brown. I am software developer and consultant at RayNet, and currently in lead of our product RMS UEM. And I'm already over 10 years at RayNet, and since the beginning I'm active in the field of software deployment and patch management. And well, today I'm here to assist you on the live demo, to take over the live demo. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry about that, everybody. That was my mistake. So just so you're aware, this is actually my first time doing this. So it's no surprise that we're starting off with some technical difficulties. Also because I was unaware of the way the program works. You get some unfiltered view into my personal life. But yeah, so again, thank you, Dennis, for introducing yourself. And yeah, why don't we go ahead and start by taking a quick look at the agenda, show you what we've got planned for today. Yeah. This is me and Dennis. You'll get all of these, you'll get these slides later on in an email. So if you've got any questions, you can contact me or Dennis or your account manager or whoever you might want to at RayNet. We'll be happy to answer your questions. So to begin, we're gonna spend today to look at the RayManageSoft Unified Endpoint Manager. We've been working really hard on updating the product, and so much has happened. We want to take a look at all of the new added values and added benefits of the solution to give you a good idea of what's been happening and what we've been up to. Our development team has been working really incredibly hard on updating the solution. So much has happened that some of us are even starting to use the word revolution. And we're going to take a look at what's making it revolutionary, what we've done to make some changes to update it and to make this a really great product. We've added a ton of new features, automated routines and processes to the tool to create a completely automated end-to-end process for security and patch management. As you know, IT security concerns have been driving the market. We hear about them regularly in the news. We hear about it in analyst reports, so from Gartner, from Forrester, from Infotech, and from all the analysts out there. And we also hear it from customer requests and even in our own experiences. Everybody is looking for tools to meet their security challenges. So what we've done is to really update the tool to give you the right tools, the right processes, everything you need, the right solution to meet those security challenges. So we'll go into that. We'll talk about the benefits. And then, as Dennis also mentions to you, we'll also give you a look into the tool itself, give you a live demo, so that way you can see how it looks, how it feels, and to get, to take it for a quick test drive. So why don't we go ahead and start with that. So as you can see, one of the places we'd like to start at RayNet is with our best practice workflow. And in part because this is how we live and breathe at RayNet. This is what we do, and this is why we do what we do. It's how everything fits together. We start with unified data management, and we do that so you get full transparency of your IT landscape. You can see what's in there, what's running, what kind of software you're in there, what's in there, and also to give you an enriched view of what's actually happening there. So you can get the information you need to make really good portfolio decisions, management decisions to decide what the next steps are for your IT infrastructure. Then the next part of that, it flows into software packaging and workflow management. You can get your the software packages you need and configure them to meet corporate guidelines. So that way you've got the software that you need, the packages you need, and all the updates you need that they are in your infrastructure, that they make it to your infrastructure, and you can keep everything up to date. And then finally, what the part we're talking about today is, of course, unified endpoint management. This is where the software and devices are, or this is where the devices are managed, and we do this with a single process. We see all this as a harmonized approach from beginning to end, from transparency to the actual devices themselves. And this is the RayNet portfolio. This is kind of everything that we do, and this is the philosophy behind why we do it. So I want to take a bit of a deep dive into this and to show you how we do it. And this is our Sankey chart. This is an important part of our process, and you can sort of see how it all flows together. This is what we like to call our data journey and an end-to-end process. This is from an actual customer. So this isn't made up data. We didn't do this just to make it look nice. This is from a real customer experience. And you can see how all this stuff flows together. We start by looking at what's actually in your environment. So the fingerprints are everything that's in your environment. And one of the things that we do, and we like to think that we do better than a lot of other of our competitors, is that we recognize more software more than they do. We like to see everything that's in there. We don't like to ignore the data, so we like to try to get as much information about all that data that's coming in, so we can recognize it and do something with it. And I'll get to that in a moment to tell you some of what the use cases are and what we do with that. But we want to provide, we don't stick with just the raw data. We want to provide actionable insights and information. Some of this you can see here with duplicates. One of the things we do is recognize where you have duplicates in the system, and that's information that you can later use for portfolio management and for other kinds of things. Next, we take that data and we normalize it so it's got a standard form, so it's easier to use, and then enrich it. Using our technology catalog, which is always updated, we take the information that you've given to us from your infrastructure, and we add even more insights to it. Some of those insights include, and I believe Dennis mentioned this in his introduction, vulnerability insights from the NIST database. We take it, compare it to your information and say, oh, what are the vulnerabilities that already exist in your infrastructure? Are they mitigated? Are they not? How severe are they? Are they critical? Do we need to act now and do something with it? Or is it okay to, is there no real threat through that vulnerability that needs to be taken care of? And that's part of the transparency that the unified data management provides to you. Among other use cases, among other things that we take a look at is EOL, so end of life and end of support information. We look at what's in your infrastructure and we say, has it reached its end of life? Has it reached its end of support? Does that mean that you need to look at new software solutions to replace that because it can't be connected anymore, or it ends up requiring more support from your internal teams to keep it running, or does are additional vulnerabilities coming from that software that's reached end of life, end of support? And that's some of the data that we provide, so you can make decisions about how to manage your infrastructure. And then next, of course, is the software packaging piece. We can take that information and with software packaging, with our integrated package store, we can say, do we have packages to replace that? Do we have the updates that you need to close those vulnerabilities to make sure that you've got a secure and reliable system? So all of that works together, and it's automated. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in the end. And then, of course, is endpoint management. It's the deployment. It's actually about getting those updates, getting those packages, and getting all of that stuff to your systems, wherever they are, whether they're on premises, whether, like me, they're in home office, or whether they're on the road if they're traveling, that you can get automatic and complete endpoint management there. So this is our data journey. It's an end-to-end, and in best case, and we'll talk about that a little bit more, it's an automated process. So that means you have to do as little to maintain it and as little to actually roll it out as possible. Once it's configured, once it's launched, you can go right ahead and do that. So the question for a lot of customers, though, is why? What's the benefit? What's the value of doing unified endpoint management? I've already talked about some of that, but you can see this slide here goes a little bit more into depth. So again, security patch and update management. You want to make sure that all of your assets are up to date and secure, that they have the patches that they need, there are no unmitigated vulnerabilities, that there are no problems, that you have the latest versions of the software so that you also have the latest functionalities. The next is, as I said, vulnerability management. It's that security piece. We like to really highlight that because it is so crucial to see where the vulnerabilities are, to locate them, and to fix them as quickly as possible. Then, of course, is remote work. Like so many of you, a lot of us are working at home or we're working on the road. We have our own devices that we're bringing with us, connecting to the infrastructure, and we need to make sure that's supported. We want to give employees the flexibility they need to work from wherever they need to work, to be able to respond quickly to business concerns, and that requires laptops and remote work and bring your own devices and things. And so by connecting it to the network and making sure that these things are secure, and making sure that these devices are secure and up to date, we can ensure that that happens. Third-party patch management. It's not just about Windows, right? It's about the Adobes of the world. It's about, in our case, it's about managing Microsoft packages, or excuse me, not Microsoft, I just said that. It's about managing macOS software and macOS packages too, and we can do all of that. It's really a key piece of what we do is to make sure that it's not you're managing one vendor, but you're managing all of the vendors, all of the different things that are in your system, no matter where they come from. So those third-party patches and those third-party security updates are a crucial piece of what we do as well. We can manage them, we help you manage them. Our package store includes packages for, thousands of packages for third-party, for Mac OS, and for Windows, whatever you need really. And then, of course, it's managing those endpoints, making sure that things are that when they're connected to your network, they're up to date, making sure that they're connected to your network and that you can roll out packages and updates whenever you need to. And then again, as I said, it's about bring your own device. It's about all those devices, laptops, tablets, whatever it may be, that for one reason or another ends up in your infrastructure, ends up connected to your network, and you want to manage that and you need that. So this is just a quick overview of some of the reasons why you need unified endpoint management and some of the reasons why you RayManageSoft Unified Endpoint Manager is such a good tool for this. We cover all of this. We do all of this, and we make sure that your system, your infrastructure is secure, it's up to date, and it has all of the features, all of the great things that you want and need. So those are some of the benefits and things. And then we can look a little bit further. It's not moving. Yes, now it's moving. So some of the benefits that our tool, our solution in particular, provides are these. You can work without interruption. I think we all know what it's like to work in a system where suddenly you get a prompt that says you've got to restart your computer, or there's a new update available and you get prompts all the time. What we've tried to do is create a system where none of that happens. All of these IT processes happen in the background, so it doesn't interrupt the people who are working, that you're not in the middle of a presentation and suddenly you've got a forced restart, or you're getting irritating notices about an update or a security patch that needs to happen. This stuff, in the best case scenario, happens automatically in the background, or if a restart does need to happen, it can be scheduled at a user's convenience within certain limitations, so they follow corporate guidelines, and that way people can do what they need to do, workers can do what they need to do, execute their tasks, and that stuff, the IT stuff, can happen at night or when you're at a break and whatever that might be, or whenever you're not interrupting them. The next part, of course, is intuitive dashboards and reports. So it's not just about making sure that these processes are happening, but so that you can see them, that you have control over them, that you understand what's going on and why it's happening. And that way you can make further additional decision making. So if you've got a problem that you need to solve, you can look at it and see, as this dashboard shows you, you can get quick updates on what's actually failed, and maybe even that'll help you discover a problem in your deployment systems and figure out where that is, and you can make decisions about that. So all of these dashboards give you that insight and give you the information you need in order to make those decisions and figure out next steps. And then, of course, as I've mentioned numerous times now, it's automated. A lot of these routine tasks that for us, in those of us who do endpoint management, we know that they can be time consuming, and we want to save you that time. We want to save you that effort. And so we've automated these tasks. We've made it so that way you don't have to spend a lot of extra time on them. Yeah, so those are some of the benefits at a glance. And then I want to move on to talk a little bit about security. So we've created a fully automated security and patch process with RayManageSoft Unified Endpoint Manager. And this is really crucial. It's really key. Security is, as I said before, it's a major concern, and it's a major concern because it's costing a lot of money, because it's causing a lot of disruption, and it's causing problems for reputations, and the attacks are growing. So it's not just a few attacks or a few vulnerabilities. We're managing continuously newly discovered vulnerabilities. We're managing continuous new attacks. Some of those are major threats, some of those are minor threats. But in the best case scenario, we want to be prepared for it, and we want to make sure that something is happening in the background along with our security tools to make sure that our system is as up to date and as secure as it possibly can be. Visibility and control plays a key part in this process, knowing what's going on in your system, knowing what's installed, what isn't installed, what's vulnerable, what's not, so you can make decisions to fix that. The next thing, of course, is third-party patch management. As we've already said, we want to cover your entire system and not just pieces of that. And that means having updates and patch management for Windows, but also for macOS, and also for all of your third-party software and software applications. So we do that. We cover really the whole range of everything that's in your infrastructure. And then obviously vulnerability management, where you want continuous, updated, reliable, and accurate vulnerability information with criticality scoring. So you can go back in and see, you can see where vulnerabilities exist in your system, but also know whether it's a vulnerability that you've got to act immediately on because it's a real genuine threat, or if it's something that, for whatever reason, it's a vulnerability that's really not, nobody could exploit it. You can say, all right, well, we can leave that as it is for right now. We'll wait on the update, whatever the case is. But you want to be able to make that decision. Do I act now? Do I need to shift resources, and do I need to shift the work that I'm doing right now to focus on that? Or is it something that I can, wait to patch later on? And all of this is automated. Again, because of the technology catalog integration and the package store integration, we can see what's in your system, see where the vulnerabilities exist, and then patch it automatically with our almost 40,000 software, or over 40,000 software packages for Windows, Mac, and third-party software solutions. We can get those updates to you quickly and easily and automatically, so that way your system is at least in terms, so those vulnerabilities are mitigated, and so those problems are taken care of quickly and easily. And then finally, the endpoint management and deployment. It's not just about, once the system is set up, it's a continuous system. It doesn't just happen once. You don't have to go back in and press a new button every day to roll it out again or to see what's going on. It's always updating, it's always active, it's always giving you new insights into what's going on in your system, so you can use them to keep everything up to date and moving along. So one of the cool things is that we've had all this stuff is based on conversations we've had with customers. It's based on legitimate, real customer stories. And we did a little bit of self-reflection and said, is this bringing the value to our customers that we really want? And we ourselves were kind of surprised by the results. We've seen sometimes IT cost savings because of centralized endpoint management of up to 30%. And these are cost savings in terms of I've been able to save money on software sprawl, so I can reduce the number of or the amount of software overlap or function overlap in my system. It's about the amount of time and effort that I'm putting toward managing this through the automated processes. So all of those are costs that are figured in, and we've seen customers with up to 30% savings there. Again, 42% reduced support efforts due to the automation. All of that stuff that's automated, that's one less minute, that's one less hour that you've got to spend in actually managing it yourself. For instance, the technology catalog, if you've got the UEM system set up and it's drawing information from the technology catalog, or drawing information from the package store, then you don't have to go in and look up, is there a new vulnerability? Or is there something that's reached its end of life or end of support date, and then manage all that information? We do it for you, and that saves you time. And then, of course, and most crucially for a lot of us is the increased security. And we've seen customers with up to 94% increased IT security through automated and proactive. And I think this is really key here. It's not just that it's automated. It's not just that somebody goes in and says, oh, there's a vulnerability, we've got to take care of it. It's always happening. The system is intelligent. It's looking for vulnerabilities. It's updating that information. It's finding the packages that are in the store, and then taking those and updating it automatically. So that means that you've increased your response time significantly, and that really improves the overall security of your system. So these are just some of the reasons why, we've done this, we're doing this, and you can see the real benefits, the real advantages of this automated security processes. So I've talked enough for right now. I want to hand it over to Dennis to give you a look into the system. So Dennis, go ahead and take it away.
Right. Thank you, Josh. You should be able to see my screen, right?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. So in the upcoming demo, I'm going to present the core features of RMS UEM, but we are going to focus on patch management. So we're not going to cover everything. RMS UEM is a multi-tenant management system, and it is running within a container. So this means you can either have it running on a cloud environment, or you can also implement it on premise. Up to you, up to your needs. Further, it is a web-based application. So we are getting access using, so we can operate with our application using a web browser. And as you can see, I'm here on my login page. That's a lab system or a demo system we have prepared. And having our credentials, we get right into the tenant and get an overview on our system. Here on the home page, we get directly visualized some main information, such as what's the count of my managed devices, or for example, also what's the amount of my software application I'm currently having in my software library. Further, we also can see some details on package assignments, like what's my most assigned application currently, if it comes to assignments to the devices. Also very interesting here on recent device activities, we see the one, for example, if there's some problem, we would directly get some warning here that some package installation failed. And of course, the operating systems, as you can see right here, how they vary within our system. Having that said, let's jump directly to the computer devices. So here we get an overview of all our devices, and as Josh already said, we are supporting, of course, Windows devices, but with that recent release, we are also supporting Mac, the management of Mac devices. And so here we see currently managed devices, but it's worth to be mentioned that, for example, if you use our Azure Active Directory integration, you're also able to import all of your devices and then start managing it. So deploying afterwards the agent, you will get some requests from the agent, and those imported devices will switch to manage. If it's yet not available, a new record will be created. Further, the device also will provide inventory information, and this is something we can directly view by selecting one of the device and get to the details view. So here on the details view, we get right away displayed the operating system running on the device and some global hardware information. But also we have the possibility to view software inventory. So next to the hardware inventory, here's the software inventory. On the beginning, that's just some raw data, like it's barely human readable, and like it's also overlapping, and it's difficult to make any decisions here. And like the big benefit of RMS UEM is our catalog integration. And using catalog, that data gets normalized and enriched. And by this data can be viewed, especially for that device, on products, on the product section. So here we have now the matched products using that inventory data. And for example, worth mentioning is our Adobe Acrobat Reader DC version that got identified. And as you can see, the enriched information is here, the vulnerability. There's over 300 vulnerabilities connected to that version. And like here's some, at that point, some action is required. Most likely, there's a newer version available that needs to get deployed. So if we want to view some details on the vulnerabilities of that device, it's also possible. So here, switching to the section vulnerabilities, we get the list sorted by the score and can get a first glance on what is going on, what are the vulnerabilities, and yeah, get some detailed information. So I just mentioned we need to most likely to deploy a new version. So let's switch to applications. Here in the applications, we have our packaged applications prepared. And yeah, the next big benefit of RMS UEM is our integration of package store. But before going into detail on that integration, let's first, let me tell you that, of course, we are still support the deployment of your resources. So in case you have some MSIs or executables, of course, this is still possible to get that deployed. But there's still the effort that is needed to like search for a newer version available. Then you have to package that application to make sure it is possible to get it properly installed and later on uninstalled, right? So to spare that effort, simply, there's of course a better way we now provide with our package store integration. So using the dialog, you simply can access those packages, like it's over 40,000 packages available. And I would like to go through with you with Firefox, for example. So of course you can use the search bar, look for your application and get it ready for deployment, get it into your database library, application library. So here's Firefox. It's those packages you see right here are the favorite ones. And I'm going to move on with Firefox. Having the product selected, you have the possibility to choose the version you would like to deploy. Of course, by default, we have the recent version selected. Furthermore, and that's also like a great option I would like to show, you have the possibility to configure your packaging options. So what should happen in terms of reboot, what should happen in terms of whether the installation should happen for all users or not. So those typical packaging options are here configurable. There are also some advanced options, such as what's to be done with if I want, for example, to define some custom installation folder. And one thing to notice is that that setting is going to get saved. And if you come back and going to access a newer version, for example, next week, next month, that settings you just did will be reused. So also in terms of patch management, so once I have the first package configured and patch management is going to get the more recent version available, the settings I've just done will be used for the upcoming deployment. And having patch management mentioned, we can jump into it. So the challenge is, of course, getting our application managed, right? But afterwards, we have to also make sure that those applications that we are managing, we need to make sure that they stay up to date and with less effort as possible. And this is why we have implemented patch management to help you with that. And as you already can see on this page, or let me first tell you what you're seeing. So here is a set of rules. With those rules, we define what should happen if it comes to, I'm choosing a package, and if there's a newer version available, what should happen afterwards. So for example, should it get directly deployed? Let's have a look here on such a rule. So here for KeyPass, for example, if there will be a new version provided by a package store, I would like to get that application directly deployed. This means the application will get downloaded and the assignments will get updated. And then the desired status changed. And this means, of course, our managed devices will automatically recognize that desired state and implement it. This can be done for most of the applications. Sometimes you wish to first test those. So there's also the option that you change the type to download it. This means if there's a newer version, it will get prepared and will be available in your software library, and then you can take action. Or I just want some notification, and then I can download that application and start deploying it. So if it comes to the notification, here we see, for example, Chrome X64, that our current version in our library is 108. But actually, package store already have the version available 111. So here we know that there's some update available, and simple as that, we can take action having such an overview. Let's jump into group management. With group management, we are defining the assignments. So for example, we have marketing, and in here we define the devices and the set of applications to be installed on those devices. So here we have a list of devices, simple group, and for example, here we have the assigned package KeyPass, and right here we can define some assignment options. So when adding a package, we define whether the package should be optional or whether the package should be mandatory installed. Further, we also can define what should happen if it comes to when the assignment gets removed. So do we like to get that package uninstalled afterwards? Or should it remain on the managed device? This can be done over here. And so if we have patch management running in the background and identifying a newer version, that's the assignment that is going to get updated. So a newer version will get downloaded and placed into our library. And for example, that package assignment will get updated. So the version we then would have a newer version over here being connected to our devices. So, sorry. So last but not least, let's have a look on the reports. Like that's also very important to management to have an overview on what is going on in my system, and to answer certain questions, we can use a set of default reports we have provided here, and that are in general provided when having RMS UEM implemented. Using two use cases, I would like to present two of those reports. So one use case is, in the beginning, we saw just the vulnerabilities of one device. Of course, we are more interested in the vulnerabilities of my complete system, right? So using the vulnerability overview, you get that information. And now we can even like filter and focus, for example, on the more risky vulnerabilities. So we are interested, for example, in a score in between 9 and 10. And of course, we are also more interested in terms of the amount of affected devices. So for example, we can also do some sorting here. And we see, for example, that this certain vulnerability is affected or is identified on over 4,000 devices. So it has the score 10, and it's almost affecting the complete environment. And yeah, using that report, we fastly get that overview and can start with our action. We can do our planning to get rid of those vulnerabilities. And the next use case is about end of life and end of support. So we are interested in our products in terms of what is going to be out of support within the next year. Using that report, end of life, end of support management, we can filter that. So of course, that report also provides products within our environment that are already out of support. Here we see Firefox, 14 different versions. Having that selected, we see the set of those 14 different versions, and all of them are out of support. That's bad. We have to replace those. We need to get a new version and deploy it. But what about the upcoming year? So having that filter removed, we can use next year filter and have a look on those applications over here. For example, we see here, that's like a nice example, operating system Debian. The version 10 is going to be out of support within the next year. As you can see over here. And of course, the operating system cannot get upgraded like within the next month. Like there's some planning needed, and having that report, having that information now, we can get ready. We can talk to the proper people and start our planning and get that operating system properly upgraded, so we will not get into the problem as we just saw with Firefox, for example, that it was already too late. Yeah, those two use cases. By me, maybe you have, Josh, something you would like to mention?
I do. I just have to find out how to turn my microphone back on. So yeah, if you could go back to the, I believe it was the software portfolio overview for just a quick second. Running short on time, so we'll do this a little bit quickly. So if we can see that, one of the great things about this overview is that you can see everything in your system. And if you look over on the left-hand side, you'll see that you've got Firefox has got the largest version sprawl in your system. Now, there might be reasons for that. There might be good reasons for that. There might be bad reasons for that. But in any case, now you have information about how many different versions. You can get a drill down into that and see what's there, and you can decide whether you've got to update things, whether you can get rid of them. So that way, with a lot of different versions, you end up having to support all of those things. So you might want to decide to cut that down in one way or another. One of the other things about this is a really great dashboard for this. You can see the number of commercial license you have in your system. So those are the license that you're paying for. And you can decide, okay, if I'm paying for something like this, do I need to cut down on the number of versions? And this can help you save a lot of money in your system at some point as well. For instance, if you also go, Dennis, wait a minute. No, I think it's here. If you look at the redundant software overview there, you've got PDF. Oh, you've moved. If you go back, yeah, thank you. The redundant software overview there, you can see where you've got lots of different kinds of the same software. And we make this possible because we can map functionality. So in our technology catalog will tell you not just one functionality. So Adobe Acrobat, for instance, is not just a PDF reader, but it's also a PDF writer, and it does a number of other things. So we have a real, we can go into the granularity of each of those pieces of software and see where you've got redundancies in your system. And this will allow you to see, to find opportunities for some cost cutting in your system, or for reducing support efforts in your system and things by getting rid of, by rationalizing that overview. So I think that's one of the really awesome things here. And again, the technology catalog really does give you granularity that you're not going to find anywhere else. It's not just one function, but we can kind of list all of the functions for each different software solution, tell you what it's after, and then you can find, you can map a whole lot of really interesting overlaps and redundancies and things to sort of shore up. You want a software portfolio that gives you the tools that you need without costing you too much and without sort of overrunning your using up your support there. So I think that's it for now, because we're kind of running out on time. I've got one more slide to show you. Dennis, I think, do you have to give me control back, or can I take that? Aha, here we are. And hopefully this shows the right slide. There we are. Fantastic. So this is from a recent customer case. This is a customer that we're still working with, and I just want to show, this gives you a really good idea of this how scalable the solution is. This is a customer with around 14,000 endpoints that we're managing, and those endpoints exist in 79 different countries. So they're spread out all over the world, and there's over 36,000 software products that we're managing. So this is a massive customer, a massive infrastructure, and we're managing that. So this is a system that can scale for, we can manage small systems, we can manage large systems, we can manage infrastructures with a lot of different software products, or just a few software products. We can do all of that. So we've only got a couple of minutes. I want to get one or two questions in before we go. Let me just hold those up. Give me just a second. Dennis, I think I'll leave these to you. Information on the package store is one of the questions we've got. We can send you that after this meeting. We'll reach out to you. And then we also have a customer, a question here, Dennis, and you can best answer this. If I'm shown a vulnerability, what's the best way to proceed? What should I do when I see a vulnerability in my system?
Yeah, so the first step would be to deal with the product that is connected to the vulnerability and find out the version of it and whether there's a newer version available. So, and of course, there's the question whether that product should be installed at all. Like maybe it's some redundant software that can be removed. Right. So knowing, for example, that we need the software, we would then get a new version using package store and upgrade it.
Okay, thank you for that. And actually, we have another related question here. And hang on a second, I've lost my place. Sorry. How do clients know when there's a new version of an application to install? So how do they figure that out? How does the system let you know?
So we have some schedules configured. Having the rules configured, I showed there's a communication with the package store, and within a specified interval, it is communicating with the package store and requesting whether there's a newer version available or not. So this is happening in the background automatically, and depending, of course, on your configuration, if you configured it to be automatically updating, it will get the version and get it deployed right away within your interval.
Okay, well, thank you for that. There's a question about trial licenses for the package store. There are trial licenses, and there are also trial licenses for our different products and things. So just contact us. We'll reach out to you if you've got questions about that. Dennis, do you have any closing words?
No, I'm happy that you're done. Thank you very much for listening.
Yeah, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. I apologize for the technical difficulties at the beginning, but I really appreciate your time and your patience with us. Again, reach out to us if you have any questions or concerns, and we hope to hear from you soon. Have a really great day, evening, or morning, wherever you are. Thanks again, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.